Hey there, and welcome back to This Explainer. Today we're tackling a really big one. Is the business still moving in the right direction? To really get into this, we're going to follow a story about Alex. Alex runs a highly capable residential renovation business right here in Canada. But, right now, Alex is completely stuck in what we call the busy trap. I mean, the phone is ringing off the hook, the schedule is totally packed, and the crew is out there on job sites every single day. But behind the scenes, well, Alex is just exhausted. Profit hasn't budged, schedule control is totally out the window, and that quiet confidence about where the business is headed has completely faded. Alex's calendar is just overflowing with these tiny repair jobs, and it's making it literally impossible to schedule the big, lucrative renovations. So let's dive in and figure out how we fix this. Let's take a really hard look at Alex's current reality. On one side of the equation, you've got this massive explosion in day-to-day activity. We're talking more inquiries coming in, more jobs knocked out, way more invoices sent, and Alex is logging more working hours than ever before. But contrast that with the stuff that actually matters, the stuff that hasn't improved at all. Despite all this frantic activity, profit margins are still completely uncertain, the schedule is a chaotic mess, and Alex actually has way less control over daily operations than when the business was half this size. Because here's the thing, more revenue absolutely does not automatically make a business easier to manage. We really need to spot the critical difference between just working hard and working with deliberate direction. All right, that brings us to step 1, separate activity from progress. To help Alex untangle this whole mess, we have to make a crystal clear distinction right off the bat. Activity? Well, that just means work is happening. Tools are buzzing, trucks are rolling, emails are getting fired off. But progress. Progress means that work is actively making the business clearer, stronger, or more sustainable. So let's look back at Alex's calendar, which is jam-packed with small, random repair jobs. Is there a high level of activity? Oh, absolutely. But is it progress? Not really. Alex is serving more customers, sure, but it's not improving the profit, the capacity, or the overall fit of the business. It's wild, but a business can run on pure activity for a very long time before the owner finally wakes up and realizes the business isn't actually any stronger for it. Moving right along to step 2, notice what no longer fits. You see, strategic drift rarely ever starts with some massive, catastrophic failure. Actually, it happens super quietly. It's when things that used to work perfectly fine begin to feel just slightly off. Think about it. In the past, those small repair jobs were exactly what Alex needed to build up a loyal customer base and get fast cash flow in the door. But today, those exact same jobs are actively hurting the business. They constantly interrupt the large, profitable renovation projects. They require all this unexpected travel time driving across town for tiny little fixes, and they constantly create pricing discomfort. The really crucial takeaway here is that the work hasn't suddenly become bad work, not at all. It just simply no longer fits this growing business in the same way it used to. Which leads us directly to step 3, look for repeated signals. It is incredibly easy to brush off one difficult job or one tough customer and just say, well, that was an isolated incident. But a repeating pattern across multiple weeks, okay, that is a signal you cannot ignore. Over the past several weeks, Alex's business has essentially been flashing red. Repair jobs consistently take way longer than quoted because they keep finding hidden damage. Customers constantly ask for extra work outside the original scope, and then the larger jobs get delayed because of it. Plus, Alex keeps second-guessing the pricing, and owner hours are just skyrocketing without any clear financial returns. Look, these aren't just random bad days. When you step back, they form a very clear pattern, showing that the current way of operating is fracturing under the pressure. Now we hit step 4, identify the direction question. So once we see that pattern, we have to act on it smartly. We don't just react, we focus. We take all that operational pressure and all those little signals, and we distill them down into one focused direction question. For Alex, that question is exactly this. Should the business keep offering small repair jobs, reprice them, narrow when they're accepted, or just stop offering them entirely? By defining it like this, we take a state of vague, everyday frustration and convert it into a highly tangible, practical decision. It gives the owner something real to actually review and solve. And finally, step 5, decide what needs attention first. Look, when a business is under this much pressure, the natural instinct is to try and fix everything all at once. Alex might be super tempted to just hire another worker to handle the repairs, or maybe dump some money into marketing. But if you pour more water into a leaky bucket, you're just going to get a bigger mess. Alex has to actively choose to tackle this specific repair job question first, before getting distracted. We figure out exactly where to focus using domain routing. Think of it like this. Every problem lives in a specific neighborhood. Financial visibility, that belongs in tax and financial discipline. Workflow and messy steps, that belongs over in operations and systems. Liability and structures live in formation and structure. But Alex's issue is fundamentally about what the business offers, who it's for, and how it's priced. That is a pure question of strategic fit, which routes it perfectly to strategy and transition. So, what does good enough look like for Alex right now? Well, by the end of this process, Alex, and you for that matter, should be able to easily do 5 specific things. First, name exactly where drift might be occurring in the business. Second, identify which of those signals are repeating. Third, notice what tasks or customers no longer fit. Fourth, articulate exactly why all this greater activity isn't producing useful progress. And lastly, name the very first direction question that requires review. If you can confidently check off those 5 things, you are well on your way to stopping drift in its tracks. Before we wrap up this explainer, I really want to emphasize something absolutely crucial here. A business does not drift because the owner isn't working hard enough. I mean, we saw it. Alex is working exhaustingly hard. No. Drift often begins when daily activity just continues on autopilot without enough review of where that activity is actually taking the business. To help you structure this kind of review for yourself, definitely check out the matching tool for this guide, the Business Direction Signal Check. Once you've got your bearings with that tool, you'll be perfectly primed for our next guide, which asks a great follow-up. What is this pressure telling you about the business? Thanks so much for joining me today. Keep asking those hard questions about your progress, and I'll see you in the next explainer.